Manchester United rebuilt from the ground up, but this time it's in full realism. No wonder kids pulled from nowhere, no fantasy transfers, only moves I can actually see the club making. We're talking Amorim's tactics to the letter, real-life scouting logic, and a squad overhaul the way United should do it. We're starting with Matthias Cunha, Bryan Mbeumo, and Benjamin Sesko, three signings to kickstart a new era. Over the years we'll attract real-world targets, move on the deadwood, and fight our way back to the very top. But it won't be easy. Bad results mean pressure, and the wrong transfer could set us back seasons. Stick around to see if we can pull it off, and if you're ready for a realistic Football Manager rebuild, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, but as always, whack on that bell above. This one, we're going full realism. So then, Manchester United in full realism. This one is going to be a joy of a video because I've not actually done it this year yet, and I thought, you know what, let's get into it. And if you want to see any other team get one of the realism rebuilds done, comment the team name below and I will make sure it gets done. But Manchester United, you know who they are. I know who they are. They are one of the biggest teams in the world who unfortunately recently have been going through a bit of a down period basically since Alex Ferguson did leave. So it's quite a special video today as we are going to try and aim to win the Premier League, the Champions League, the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. And to be honest with you, I don't think I'm going to be happy until I've won at bare minimum the Premier League and the Champions League at least once. Now, I'm hoping we can get that done in sort of 5 or 6 seasons, but transfers are going to play a big part in today's video. Now, when we actually look at the club, they have got so much going for them, right? I'm talking 3 Champions Leagues, 20 English Premier Division titles, 1 Club World Championship, 1 European Cup, 1 Europa League, 1 UEFA Super Cup, 13 FA Cups, 1 Intercontinental Cup, 2 Sky Bet Championships, 6 Carabao Cups, and 21 English Community Shields. So this team are the definition of success. You know, they've also got a great bit of reputation, 4.5 stars, great training, great youth, and great youth recruitment. The owners enjoying life at the club. The finances are okay. That's a nice word to use when you talk about the Manchester United money situation. Going over to the transfers, of course, we are going to have some business pre-agreed, and that is going to be consistent of this. So we're going to go right in. Obviously, we've got Cunha coming into the team, a very, very good player. A player that I'm a bit iffy to see how he does in real life, but I do think over a couple of seasons, this guy will become very comfortable in this Manchester United team. And in this game, he's also a very, very good player. So I'm going to make sure we do get a lot out of this guy because there is a reason why we went out and brought him. And I just hope we get to see a little bit of that player that was at Wolves and actually even take it up another level to Manchester United where he needs to be a real star player. So Cunha is obviously going to be fully in the plans. Speaking of players in the plans, Bryan Mbeumo. Now this player, I'm going to show you the tactic in a second. It was posted on the main channel yesterday as well. But Mbeumo is going to play a big part in this system. Such a good player. I've seen some people compare him to Mo Salah. Not my words. Other people have used that comparison. For me, I think he is going to get the job done. I'm going to position him on the right-hand side, but sitting quite narrow, so a hybrid of a inside forward and a true number 10. He looks really, really good, don't get me wrong. Great finishing, good composure, good acceleration, good pace, good passing. Pretty much an ideal player to have in both of those roles. Again, a player that at Brentford has, you know, done relatively well since being there, and I can see why, and I actually quite like the fact we've gone out and signed pre-existing really well-performing players. Now, I did use the Sort Out SI database, so don't worry, that wasn't me that brought in there for 4.4 mil. That was the Sort Out SI database. Benjamin Sesko, I had to edit in myself to make that very clear, because he is now currently a Manchester United player, and I have gone over and obviously applied that £70 million price tag, which, let me know what you think of that in the comments. But look, he's a promising striker. RB Leipzig produced some of the best talent in world football. We've seen that on countless occasions. They really do. Usually this train of Salzburg to Leipzig to then the big club is usually how it goes. And I've got full faith in Sesko. You know, he's quick, good jumping, quite naturally quite strong, good finishing, good composure. He's 22. Obviously, a lot of the players that United are going after are going to be a minimum or a maximum, sorry, of 26 years of age. So you've got to bear that in mind with these transfers. I will do my best to keep it all within that limits. There might be the odd player towards the end that we try and get a bit of experience into the team, but we are going to approach younger players and really try and build up as Manchester United are doing in real life. So super excited to have Benjamin Sesko in this starting 11. when you look at some of the players that are going out, of course, the big player I'm going to talk about is Marcus Rashford. Now, Barcelona have got an option to buy this player for, I believe, £30 million, and I can see that almost being guaranteed. So I will be offloading Marcus Rashford either through the game or through the editor. He will not be part of this plan because I don't think he's going to be part of the plans in real life. He's a great player, just it didn't really work out in the end for him at Manchester United. So that is a player that we won't see any longer, just to make that very, very clear. And of course, there are a couple of transfer targets that I won't spoil in case people have been living under a rock, but there's two names floating around that are a midfield player and a goalkeeper that are very heavily linked to Manchester United, and I will make it my mission to bring those in season 2. But looking at the competitions, we are playing in 3. No European football. We've got the English Premier League, where we are predicted to finish inside of 5th place. I'm going to be honest, anything in the top 6 I'm going to be happy with. And why am I saying that? Because that is my exact expectation for Manchester United next season. That is what I want to achieve in this game. It's also what I'd expect them to achieve inside of real life. The Carabao Cup and FA Cup, of course I want to win. Of course, I'd love to win them, but they're not going to be my main priorities for the first couple of seasons. But if they do naturally come along, yes, we're going to celebrate them. Yes, we're going to be happy. And of course, it would be a big moment for this club regardless. Now, the bit you've been waiting for, the tactics, the team. Before that, finances. Now, we are going to have a budget of 0. The debts and loans are heavily existent. We've got to say that, okay, there is a bit of debt at this club. And this is not a debt cleanse and rebuild, but hopefully we can sort of deal with a little bit of that debt, because it is quite a scary amount when you see that total figure. Now, the tactic. Again, any part of this video you want to get all of these perks, that will include this tactic and the rebuild file, and not just this one, but every single piece of content I do, whether it be tactics, rebuilds, all of it goes onto the Patreon, and it is the place to be. So make sure you go over there and get involved. But this team, so we're going to talk through some players that I'm personally going to try and offload, and they are going to go on the transfer list, but if they don't get sold via the game, I will use the editor to make it even more realistic. And you might be saying, Josh, how can you use the editor to actually let players go and it'll be more realistic? Well, I'm going to answer that right now. So if we go down, for example, and look at Garnacho, very likely this man will be going to Chelsea. So I will use the editor to offload Garnacho. So that is one player that is not part of our plans. You then look at the likes of, let's find another player, Casemiro. Of course, a lot of Saudi links, quite hard to offload him in this game. Naturally, he would also go to Saudi, but I probably wouldn't give myself any money for him because there's not really been an official price tag being floating about. Antony, he's also going to be a player that will be getting offloaded. He has had Saudi links for around about the 30 to 40 million euro mark, so that is what I would base that off. And then you've got the likes of, obviously, you know, Luke Shaw's had no official offer from anybody, so it makes it a little bit challenging to actually go and put a price on that player. Bruno Fernandes has obviously agreed to stay, so we are going to keep him and play him in a big part in this team as what he's doing in real life as a sort of deeper player. It might take him a bit of time to get there. And honestly, this team on paper, it's okay. So we are going to lock certain players in, and we're going to talk through them players now. So firstly, at right back, I'm not going to lock a single player in. The back line for me, I am not going to lock a player in. I'm going to simply let them fight it out for their position, and hopefully we can see a mixture of players. Dorgu is going to be locked in 100%. I am also going to lock in Bruno Fernandes because I want him to guarantee playing that DLP role, and Mbeumo, Cunha and Sesko are going to be locked in. The rest of the players can get game time. Sancho's another player that, of course, will be offloaded. Incredibly, Fenerbahce or Besiktas are looking like lead candidates to get that player, so that is where he would get sold to. They're the main players that we are going to offload, but this team on paper is very good, you know. Onana will be getting replaced, hopefully, as well. Then he'll be going right on the transfer list. Dorgu, a great left-back. Decent potential, very quick on the ball, good crossing, poor tackling, but we can of course train him, and we will train him 100%. So very excited to get Dorgu involved. Cunha, going to be that playmaker, and Mbeumo, this is what I mean by the tactic, by the way. So he is an inside forward, but he's told to sit narrow, so he'll be around here, and you will get that traditional Amorim shape. Sesko's got a lot of pressure as that advanced forward. Of course, he does have Højlund and, of course, Xerxes as backup. Unsure what I'm going to do with Højlund and Xerxes. I am going to place Højlund potentially on the loan list. And as for Xerxes, I am going to keep him for now and also get him trained in this central attacking role, because then he could be an option for Cunha if there's any injuries. But looking at the team sort of on paper and understanding it, if we filter by age, which is a good thing to do, obviously Heaton's getting older, Casemiro's getting older, Maguire's getting older, even Bruno's getting older, and Bruno brings me to a point now, because I'm going to keep him for as many seasons as I can, and if it means he goes on the free, he goes on the free. For me, he is Manchester United all over. I need to try and keep him. Luke Shaw, I do want to try and offload, obviously. Marcus Rashford we've discussed. I love Mazraoui. Decent fan of Lisandro Martinez. Mason Mount, I'm going to see what happens with him. I think that's the sort of situation in real life as well. And other than that, the players are looking pretty decent. We've gone over the likes of Garnacho, Sancho, Anthony, those sorts of players. So I'm going to delve right into Season 1 now, and let's just hope for a top 6 finish. I think we can get it done. I trust this tactic. It is as accurate of a tactic as I can make. This was basically moulded by looking at all the different things he has done in pre-season and trying to compress it into one system for you guys to enjoy and for me to use in a rebuild. So yeah, let's lock into Season 1 and see if Manchester United can go from, I'm not even going to say the league position last season, to top 6 this season. Well, things are looking very good, because in the Carabao Cup final, that is the final, we are going to go 1-0 up from a very iffy goal there. Rasmus Højlund is going to make it 1-0 in 33 minutes. Crystal Palace are going to get back into the game here with Mitchell down the left-hand side, a great ball into Gomez, who drives it back across, and Eze, who is a very heavily wanted man by Tottenham, is going to equalise for Palace. But with Manchester United, late goals run in our blood. Fernandes is going to play it back outside into De Ligt. Plenty of space on the ball here, to be fair. Into Cunha, and what about that for a welcome? As for the FA Cup, it wasn't too pretty. It's a 3-0 loss to Man City. And you know what? I would have been a bit more annoyed, but we've already won the Carabao Cup. I was not really setting a strict goal on these cups. And if we're being honest, whether you're a United fan or not, we are still nowhere near comfortable to go into a game where we're comfortable against Man City, you know. Man City have got a great squad, a great manager. We're still in a bit of a rebuilding phase, but the Carabao Cup's amazing, but we need to get top 6 at minimum, and we just about do, and it's very close. Oh, that is very close, literally in 6th place. So I did actually expect this to be quite close, to be honest, and we're not a ridiculous amount of points off the top 4, which is going to consist of Tottenham, Arsenal, City, and also Liverpool. Benjamin Sesko is going to be your 3rd top goal scorer, 6 goals behind Evan Nilsson, and quite a fair few behind Erling Haaland. Bruno Fernandes is going to be in the mix there with the average rating. As for assists, we are going to have to go down to 8th place, where we have 8 assists from Diego Dalot. The clean sheets is going to be in 5th place of Andre Onana, so not actually having a bad season at all when it comes to the defensive side. But that's actually okay. You know, Europa League is going to be something. Actually, it is Conference League, isn't it? I thought the Carabao Cup boosts you to Europa League. I'm pretty sure it does. Either one of them, it is Europa League. I'm 90% sure. So, very happy with that. Super happy we have won a Carabao Cup. It wasn't... What was the path to that final? Did we beat any big teams? Luton, not a big team. Arsenal, a very big team. Burnley, not such a big team. Preston, not such a big team. Sunderland, not such a big team. And yeah, we don't even play in that stage. So not the hardest run, but we played who's ahead of us. And at the end of the day, that's all you can do. Now, in terms of players, the players that were locked in, Dorgu. Now, these are the players that I'm calling the key players. These are the players that I'm keeping a strict eye on, and we are monitoring them very closely. Dorgu 2 and 6, dropping a 7 average rating, is pretty decent. Bruno Fernandes from that deep area, he's still getting used to it in real life, but actually still manages to score 11 goals and pick up 7 assists. And Mbeumo has a pretty average season based off rating, but he contributes 14 goals. Not too bad there at all. Hopefully he becomes more confident. Cunha, very similar, 7 and 3. Probably just getting used to the Manchester United team. Sesko, good season, 24 and 2. Dalot, 5 and 13. Sancho, 2 and 1. Mason Mount, 4 and 5. 4 from Joshua Zirkzee, I love to see that. Harry Maguire with 7. This man gets so much disrespect, but he's still doing it for Manchester United. We love to see that. Kobbie Mainoo, of course, a player who once was and still is loved by fans, but once guaranteed his place in the team, no longer really does, with certain links to a Carlos Baleba, that has to be said, and competition, of course, from Ugarte. Very interesting conversation that. Casemiro gets involved as well. Antony picks up a goal. Rashford has a great season out on loan, and he will be getting moved there permanently. What a season for Barcelona. Proven there still is a player in there. Now, one thing I will say is, we have just got to make sure that we can try and sign a couple of these transfer targets. Now we're in the little bits of the video. That, of course, is Donnarumma and Carlos Baleba, and I will do my best to make it happen. Now, because some of these players, like Garnacho, like Sancho, like Casemiro, and I think is going, he is going, so he has gone. Antony, is he gone? He is not gone. We are going to use the editor to go even more realistic and offload them to relevant clubs. So, Q Season 2, a lot of realism to bring up. Let's get into it. We can confirm Casemiro has gone to Al Ahly. Now, this is a player who, don't get me wrong, when he joined there was so much hype, but I just think he come a little bit too old, you know what I mean? And he deserves his move. He still is going to be a decent player in that league, and on 825k a week, I'm glad I'm not paying it. But saddened by this one, to be honest, because Harry Maguire I was going to keep and actually let him retire at the club, but he wanted to have a free move to Atletico Madrid. As you can see here, do you know what, he's played a lot of games for this club, and I know he's made mistakes, I know he's not been the best of the best, but he dealt with the criticism pretty well. I'm going to be honest. He dealt with the criticism. He dealt with it pretty well. And although it's not the dream outgoing, him going to Atletico Madrid, I'd rather him go to a competitive team where he can still be playing at a top level. So it wasn't in the plans, but the game sometimes talks. And Sancho is going to go to Fenerbahce for that 20 million euros, where we actually got 12 million euros, and he goes there and only plays 4 games, which is not ideal if you are Jadon Sancho. He's still a very good player, but there's so many players that come to Manchester United and they simply just don't get clicking. Antony's a great example. Sancho's a great example. There's loads of examples. I can sit here for hours, but he is going to go to Fenerbahce. He might go to Besiktas. It's very 50-50. Let me know what you think. Where will he go and how will he do? And if there's any Fenerbahce fans, any Besiktas fans watching, do you actually want him? Now I'm going to offload Antony to Al Hilal. It is going to be a Saudi team for 27 million. He only plays 3 games as well. Now that surprises me because he's actually quite a decent player. And when Ten Hag brought him in, there was a lot of, you know, sort of debate over the price tag. Of course there was. It was such a big price tag. But he just didn't deliver at all, really, did he? Now, I have heard rumours that some of the Manchester United players actually have been trying to convince Manchester United to keep him. They can see something in him. But for me, I think it's as good as done. I think we should accept an offer, get him off the wage book, and just send him. You're never going to recover the money back, but try and get some. Marcus Rashford completes that 30 million euro move. 26 million pounds goes into our pockets, and he goes there and carries on and has a great second season. So super sad to see him go because he's been at United since 2014, but he's a player that was just slowly and slowly getting less and less consistent, seemed to show less and less care, and his time at Manchester's up. And oh boy, I am super happy to see this guy go. Garnacho, he's been acting like a child in real life, so buzzing to see him go. And do you know what? In real life, I don't even know what I want for him. I've seen rumours of maybe we call his bluff, we don't play him, he rots in the under-21s for a season, because that temperament is absolutely diabolical. For a player that has literally, you know, been at Manchester United from very, very young, and he's been given that chance, I'm glad he's gone to Chelsea for me, and he's only played 3 games, so goodbye to Garnacho. We'll take the £31 million. I'm pretty sure I speak on behalf of 80% of United fans when I'd happily see him go anywhere, but also I can see that side of it'd be a little bit nice to see him get his bluff called, and yeah, we'll keep you at the club then, but you're not playing. Have fun. Your choice. Now, Donnarumma has been rumoured to be joining Manchester United for a 30 to 40 million euro sort of clause. Now, we went in the middle, £34 million. He played every single game, kept 16 clean sheets, and I mean, this is what we've been crying out for, isn't it? You know, a goalkeeper who, to be honest with you, has won some very, very big trophies. Now, Onana's played in big games. Donnarumma, of course, was a key candidate in that game against England, which we're not going to talk about. He's just won the Champions League final. I mean, he is a big player to get in my opinion. A very, very good goalkeeper and someone that has won stuff recently. You want winners in your team, and Onana, he's played in massive games across his whole career, but he just makes too many mistakes, so I'm fully behind this signing. Carlos Baleba is also going to come in from Brighton for 100 million is the rumoured amount. In real life, I think we could get him for 70, but I didn't want to use the editor in a cheating way, so we did burn the entire budget on getting these players in. He was locked in to play all the games. He contributed 9 goals, dropped a decent average rating, but for 100 million... even 70 million, that more, you know, real life price, that's a lot of pressure for a young player, and sometimes that can kill players. But it's the same with Sesko. He's an expensive player. Hopefully he does well. Hopefully Baleba does well. Obviously we've seen a season from Sesko. We can see another season now. He's actually improved. So Sesko's developed really, really well. But let's go and look at that Premier League, and yeah, let's see what we've done. Well, it's a big improvement in the Premier League. I mean, we've gone from 6th to 2nd, and yes, we're tons of points behind Man City. I mean tons of points, but we are seeing Benjamin Sesko with 27 league goals, Bruno Fernandes with 18, Donnarumma in 3rd place with 16 clean sheets. Bruno Fernandes and Mazraoui are going to be in there with the assists, and Bruno Fernandes is going to be your best player based off average rating in the Premier League. Now, we have kept Arsenal behind, Liverpool behind, Tottenham, Villa and Chelsea. City are running away with it, you know, it's a big gap. I mean, we're talking, what, 12 points? You know, it's a fair few games. It's, yeah, uncatchable, to be honest with you. But for our 2nd season, a couple of new faces in. I like what I see. The Carabao Cup final again, and Man City are going to be tougher opposition. They make it 1-0 in 11 minutes, but luckily for us, about 70 seconds after, Sesko becomes a bit of a link-up player somehow, feeds Mazraoui into Mbeumo, into Cunha, and the man that won us the final last game, or last season, actually has played a big part in getting us back into this game. And now it's going to be Malacia getting some game time, down the left-hand side, back stick into Xerxes, a poor clearance, Mazraoui picks it up, and we're got a win against bitter rivals Manchester City. But they always bite back, and Man City are going to win the FA Cup. So do you know what? They take 1 cup, they take the Premier League as well, I suppose. But yeah, still not really much to talk about in the FA Cup, to be honest, but at least we're winning the Carabao Cup. Of course, we have the Europa League, where we can see Sesko is joint top goal scorer with Kiergaard, which is quite interesting. We are going to thump Lille in the round of 16 6-1. The quarterfinals 6-3 over Copenhagen. And the semi-finals, oh, it's a close one, 2-1 over Rangers. But luckily for us, RB Leipzig get past Chelsea, and I can tell you something, I'd rather play Leipzig than Chelsea in the Europa League final, and I've got a little feeling we're going to be European winners in a couple of seasons. Maybe we signed the wrong Leipzig man. No, I'm only joking, but things aren't going to get off to a great start. David Raum down the left-hand side is going to just roam into space, and it's poor marking. A great goal from Openda in the end to make it 1-0, and in a game that I was super confident in, I should be embarrassed because this team have let me down. Elmas plays it back, great ball over the top into Openda, first time a 2-0 loss. Shock. We are going to be runners-up in the Europa League, so we walk away with the Carabao Cup again. Now, I suppose there are positives to this, big positives, you know. We're 2nd place in the Premier League. We've improved in the Premier League while managing a European competition. Although we didn't win that Europa League, we actually have proven we can manage to finish decent in the league, have a good run in the European competition, a very good run in the Carabao Cup, and also improve in the FA Cup. So it is all thumbs up from me personally, but still a lot more work to do. Now, in terms of money, we are going to have a budget of £131 million. The debt is slowly coming down, and of course there are still players we can go over and sell. So let's go and look at the squad. Looking at the squad right now, I want to keep Bruno until he, you know, decides to leave on the free or retires. I love Bruno Fernandes to bits. Luke Shaw, I want to try and offload. I might even consider, well, he is already on the transfer list, but I'm going to try and hire an intermediary to sell him. Onana is going to be on the transfer list. Mazraoui, no. Martinez, no. Alte, no. Mason Mount, no, because he is chipping in now and then for certain games. Donnarumma, no. Dalot, no. Cunha, no. And Mbeumo, no. De Ligt, no. Malacia, no for now. Ugarte, no. Xerxes and Rasmus, a decision has to be made. Although if Xerxes is getting more comfortable in that AM role, role, I guess we can kind of keep both. Other than that, we are completely happy. It's a shame that the game does Heaven and Leon so badly in terms of quality, because they're just not getting the game time. But on paper, this was the team that was locked in. Donnarumma, Dorgu, Baleba, Fernandes, Cunha and Bromo, and Sesko. Now, Dorgu improves. Fantastic season. Fernandes, 28 and 24. Baleba, quite a quiet season, 6 and 7. But he's not really going to get too much done in that ball-winning midfield player role. Although, I say not much. 6 goals and 7 assists is a decent amount. And Bromo is now wanted by West Ham. That's not going to happen. 16 and 16. Cunha, big improvement. 17 and 8. Sesko wanted by Bayern, 48 and 5. Bruno wanted by a Saudi team that screams of an issue. Diallo chips in, wanted by Sunderland, and we could actually consider loaning him out. Dallo 5 and 4, Mount 3 and 1, Xerxes 1 and 2, Mainu 1 and 2, 10 and 19 for Mazraoui. He's getting a lot of action in that right back slot, I would imagine. Fair play to him. Not really the long-term project, though. I'd rather him play a centre-back role, so we are going to potentially hunt for a new right-back, and I have got a man in mind. Luke Shaw, 1 and 7, but the guy's 31. I am going to consider selling him, especially if we can even get half of that price. I will cash in. And yeah, other than that, it's not too much action. I think the squad has got a certain amount of depth to it now that I really like, but there is still work to be done. And we are doing it at a very good rate while being realistic. Now, please bear in mind that every transfer that you see me make would have had several articles of links being made. That is why you might see some players where you're like, Josh, but he's not meta. He's not meta. And I'm going to try and not include many meta players. We are also going to have a certain element of a factor of, say, someone has a very good season. So say, I don't know, Danny Damaso has a great season in this game and he picks up 42 goal contributions and he has a release clause for 23 million. Of course, we're going to pop it, because in real life, it is realistic that a club like Manchester United would look at that because he's so available. So you've got to bear that in mind as well. Full realism means signings that can be made in real life, but also if it was to happen in real life, then that would happen as well. Of course, we're not going to go and sign Lamine Yamal, Jude Bellingham, and Mbappe. That will not be happening. But let's get into Season 3 with still a lot of work to do. Right, so signing 1 is going to be Jarrad Branthwaite for an option at centre-back. Now, I will say he was not locked in this season, and he got into the team for pretty much every single game. This is a man that has been linked to several Premier League clubs, but Manchester United are going to be up there with some of the most linked clubs he's been linked to. And I can't see why it couldn't happen in the future, especially if we want to replace an English centre-back like Maguire. Someone like Branthwaite would be available. Now, he comes in, drops a decent average rating. He cost me 21 million, so that's also a reason why I'm going to pay it, because, you know, he fits the under-26 quota. He's also an available player, you know. He's not going to say no to go from Everton to Manchester United, but yeah, he is going to help out quite a fair bit. Player we had an offer in for some time ago, apparently, is going to be Wesley, a player usually at Flamingo, went to Roma. We're going to pick him up for 25 million. He was locked in and he played 14 or got 14 goal contributions, drops a 7 average rating, and this gives me the chance to test Mazraoui in that right centre back role. He wasn't locked in, but he will most likely get game time there, and really go after a really promising right back who has got a bit of pace about him, good crossing, good tackling. In this game, nowhere near what he's like in real life, but still a good pickup. And I mean, for a total of what, 25 million? Sensible. Another name that has been swirling around Manchester United is going to be Anthony Malambo. Now, sadly, in this game, he will not be treated the same as what he would be in real life, because he's simply not as good, but this is the whole point of realism, getting the names in the squad. Now, he's already wanted by Middlesbrough, Millwall and Sheffield, and I might consider loaning him out, because the poor guy only played 1 game, and he cost me £32 million. Now, this is a player that in real life is very highly respected, but sadly in this game, he's not given the ability. So this is where I want your opinion. If you're watching right now, should I edit players' potential and current ability to suit them more in real life? Or if anyone knows a website that does that to make these videos even more realistic, please let me know, and I want your opinion regarding that. But welcome in, Anthony. Diomande is going to come in from Tottenham, but of course this would be inspired from the Sporting more side of things. He would be available. I'm sure he trusts Ruben Amorim, and he comes in for 48 million. Now, he was signed a little bit too late to actually get registered, so this is more of a sign-in for next year than this year. But of course, when he's available, now he went to Tottenham and he played a few games, but he didn't really get treated that well in the first season. They were open to selling him, and I thought, do you know what? Under 26, former Sporting man, quality player in real life, quality in the game, quick, everything, great centre-back, lock him in. We need centre-backs. And the same goes for Arda Güler. Sadly, a little bit too late to be registered, but a player ready to replace a Bruno when he does get too old, ready to replace Cunha when he drops off, for example, and just ready to be in the team. He can also play in that Mbeumo position, and he comes in for 29 million. And this is a sort of Danny Namasso conversation. If a player comes in is available for that money after dropping a pretty decent set of stats at Real Madrid in a very competitive league, you're most likely going to pay attention to the name. So Arda Güler, welcome to Manchester United. Now the Champions League, super happy because we've maintained that position, and of course we are now playing in the Champions League, so the fact we finished second in the Premier League shows that at least we have been competitive while managing a Champions League trophy. Now I don't know, we could have got knocked out in the league phase, but what's nice to see is Wesley, a player that a lot of you guys may have not even used in this game, is the third top assister. Donnarumma's going to be in there, Bruno the top assists, the best average rating, Sesko joint first now with Erling Haaland, and I tell you what, very nice to see Wesley in there. I'm a big fan of that one, but yeah, we're Silver Surfers again, so that is going to be 2 times runners-up. Next season's ours? Who knows? Bit of a step back in the Carabao Cup as Arsenal are going to win 3-1 over City and Liverpool knock us out 4-1. So overall the winners are going to be Arsenal, of course it is. But that's a trophy now which I could quite happily sit here and say, if we don't win it again, it's not the end of the world. I've won it twice. I'd actually rather now win the FA Cup. We'll keep dreaming, Josh, because Arsenal also get the job done over me in that competition in the 5th round, which feels really bad. I mean, we are going to get past Southampton 2-0. We are going to get past Burnley 6-0. We are going to get past, of course we're not in the second round, but the teams we played were very, very easy until we played Arsenal and they simply, well, they embarrassed us. So English Cups are a disappointment this year. The Premier League's a big thumbs up. Let's go and see the Champions League. So the league phase, we actually done relatively well in, which I am very surprised because it is our first season in this competition. We are going to beat PSV, Arsenal, AC Milan, Leipzig, and Feyenoord. In them 5 wins, we conceded 1 goal. Says a lot about how much we're improving. 1 draw against Atletico, and only 2 losses there against PSG, who topped the charts, and Besiktas, who where did they finish? In 25th, so a bit of a disappointment there. The round of 16, that's good. We beat Liverpool 2-0. A big team knocked out the competition. Quarterfinals, Barcelona, sorry Marcus Rashford, we're going to scrape by, but do a comeback there, 4-3. We love to see that. The semi-finals, 5-3 over PSG, and we're playing Monaco. Monaco in the final. If there's a time to win it, it's now. We're going to be in the Champions League final, and we're going to be in a rainy Champions League final, with a goal being scored in the 80th minute, and it is going to be none other than Bryan Mbeumo. What a moment for him in the Champions League final. And these players are going to become, hopefully, one day Premier League winners, but for the meantime, they are going to become Champions League winners thanks to an own goal. We'll take it. That is right, Champions League winners in 2026, runners-up in the Premier League, and things are looking good. We are slowly getting closer to that dream of the Premier League. We've achieved the dream of the Champions League. We've won the Carabao Cup. We still need that FA Cup, but I tell you what, it's a thumbs up from me. A very, very strong season where we are going to see a budget which has not been given yet because that will not be that low. But I tell you what, we've done our bit, man. We have done our bit. And I tell you what, I did get a little bit excited because I've already done some of the transfers. That is right. The transfers that I show you at the start are actually literally our transfers going into the next season. So I signed these because they were available, but it does mean that we don't, I doubt highly, unless we sell, we're not going to have any money to go into Season 4 with, because I decided to pop the gamble on Diomande and Güler. Now, it's a big gamble because obviously we've just won the Champions League without those players, which is a good sign, but Are they going to be enough to now win me a Premier League? What I will say is, obviously you can see the likes of Gula. We're going to remove him from the team in a second, but just ignore just pretend he's not there. Let's get Cunha back in there, and also let's go and replace Diomande with Branthwaite, for example. This team on paper, 44 and 3 for Sesko, 18 and 22 for Bruno, who would have actually been playing in that deep area there. As where is Mbeumo? There he is. This team is looking very strong. And when you factor in Arda Güler, Diomande into Season 4, I think we can win the Premier League. Who says no? I know I don't. Well, sadly, Bruno Fernandes' time is going to be up, and this might be the sad reality in real life. I hope we're smarter to even get 20 million, but I wanted to keep him at this club forever, man, for this realism rebuild, because he will be at United for at least this amount of time, I imagine. So it's gone against me in the end, I guess, but we have extracted everything from him. He helped me win a Champions League. What a moment. You know, sad we couldn't win a Premier League with him, but he goes to Saudi. He's living life. He's on £1.1 million a week. What a player he has been. We are going to be in the Super Cup final against Aston Villa, and Aston Villa are actually looking pretty decent. Don't get me wrong, it's a little bit lucky that, and it's poor from De Ligt, but they're going to go 1-0 up inside of 58 minutes. Now, one thing I've learned about this United team is we can come back with quite the vengeance, and Mason Mount plays a ball over the top, into Mbeumo, back inside, into Sesko, and we're going to equalise about 2 minutes after. And we are going to go, and not for the first time in this video, we're going to go and win another European trophy, technically as it is, 2-1, and the goal's going to be an own goal. Conspiracy theorists would have an absolute daydream here. It's a big step back in the Champions League, as we are going to lose in the round of 16 against Manchester City. Now, I wasn't expecting to go, you know, double back-to-back Champions League winners, but I was expecting maybe at least a semi-final appearance. The one positive here is this can all be redeemed by a Premier League win. So if we've won the Premier League and we've just done poor in the Champions League, I'd happily accept it. We haven't. We've dropped down to 3rd place. Now, it sounds bad when you say that, but if you factor in there's 2 points from me winning the league, 1 point from Tottenham winning the league, it's a very, very close season. So we are still on the same wavelength, you know. We're so close to getting the job done. We're still going to see Benjamin Sesko, the top goal scorer, for the first time in his Manchester United career. Donnarumma, the most clean sheets. Arda Güler, Luke Shaw are going to be your top assisters, and this for me is as close as last season. You know, if we actually pull up the stages and compare this to last year, it was 3 points we were off winning it last year. It is now 2 points, so although we've dropped a place, we're actually closer, which is crazy to say, but it is reality. The sad thing, we've also fallen off, technically, if you look at the Champions League, the same can be applied to both of these. An FA Cup exit against Sunderland in the 5th round, and a Carabao Cup exit in the semi-final, 3-1 against Liverpool. So, just the one trophy being the UEFA Super Cup, which is a little bit disappointing to be honest with you, but it is what it is. We are going to carry on rebuilding, and again, this video will not stop until I win that Premier League trophy. Now, money. We are going to have a budget of £112 million. The debt has almost been taken care of. We're doing a great job getting that down. And this team on paper, let's go and see what the team looks like. So it's now 2027. We've played 4 years, and the team is Donnarumma, Diomande, De Ligt, Martinez, Shaw. In fact, let's just get Dorgu right in there for a second. Mazraoui, let's get Wesley in there. Mount, let's get... Oh, we can't get Bruno. That's an absolute... that is awful. That is just realism hit in the face, that is. I was hunting for Bruno, he's gone. Ugarte, Mount, Güler, and Mbeumo, Sesko. Great team. On the bench, you've got Onana, who is on the transfer list, by the way. Branthwaite, Cunha, Xerxes, Dalot. I've decided to keep Xerxes and Højlund because Xerxes can play in that AP role, so they may as well both stay for now. Cunha, Xerxes, Dalot, Mainu, Højlund, Marcia, Baleba, Diallo, Shaw, Malambo, obviously Chido, Yoro, Mazraoui, Heaven, and Leon, and obviously Alte. Still some players I want to sell. Luke Shaw's number 1 in that list. I mean, you can argue Malacia. You can also say, Josh, just get rid of Xerxes or Højlund. I might do, but I quite like having them in the mix just to be there if needed. The only reason I'd sell Luke Shaw is because he's had a good season, by the way, and we might actually get a little bit of money for a 33-year-old left-back, which would be very, very good for this club. The players are doing well, man. The stats don't lie, but with 2 points off winning the Premier League, I think we're talking any time now will make it happen. Any time now we can win that Premier League. So Q season 5. Well, it's not what I wanted, but Onana has stayed here after refusing many offers. I didn't want to use the editor or offload him because I didn't really know exactly what club he'd go to. So he goes on the free to Damac. And again, if you guys think I could be more usey on the editor, if you want to say I can use it more, please let me know, because I know creators do use it to obviously make different realism journeys a bit more, well, realistic. He is going to go to Damac, so Onana is going to leave, but sadly no money gained for him. Rasmus Højlund, I have cashed in, and I have sent him to a league because I thought, do you know what? He might actually return to the Italian league one day, and I thought Bologna is a good club to come knocking. We get 39 million for him. He goes there and cooks, and it is exactly what I think would happen in real life. He does such a good job, and we've lost a bit of money, but we've got 40 million back for him. And I think that's pretty good. Luke Shaw, we are going to sell, and he is actually going to be... This is genius, this is. He goes to Tottenham for 29 million, has an average season, and retires. What a time to sell. That is top business. Kolo Muani is going to be a transfer-linked player from a while ago, and I don't think necessarily that he's a hot transfer right now, but I have decided to allow myself to get him because of that link back in the day, and also he's a player that, you know, has been linked not too long ago. He is a bit on the older side now. Of course, we got to bear in mind, okay, we have played 5 years in advance, so he wouldn't actually be 31 in real life. He comes in, and I mean, the guy is a menace. 38 goals and 12 assists. He might just be the missing piece. He is a world-class player, guys. He's developed to such a high level in this game. Yes, it's a lot of money. It's 53 million. But when you're scoring a goal a game, he may have even got game time up front. Also pick up Coyote, again, similar to the Mamasso and the Arda Güler vibes, you know. He's at Brentford, had a couple of great seasons, a cheap release clause. Why wouldn't Manchester United look at him, you know? This new sort of DNA of picking up young players, he suits the figure quite well. So Coyote is going to come in and have a great season. I'm looking forward to this. Well, the FA Cup is going to be a negative to start the day off with, which I don't really like to say, but Man City a little bit too strong on the day, and the FA Cup we just can't quite get to grasp with. We can't win it. Carabao Cup final we are going to be in once again. We seem to love this, and it's going to be one goal, and a very unlikely candidate is going to win us this final, Malacia. Beautiful. We're going to find ourselves in the round of 16 again against a very challenging Tottenham team, which we are going to beat them 7-4. The quarterfinals, we are going to beat FC Bayern 5-1. The semi-finals, we're back into a final, as it is going to be it's a tough one, a final against Real Madrid, and sadly, for Marcus Rashford, he's still yet to touch a Champions League final. And we are off to Baku, and this is going to be a tough game. Mbeumo is going to find Coyote down the right-hand side, made that inside run again, and he strikes it, and it's a great start, but Courtois should be ashamed. That is awful goalkeeping, and I tell you what, we're going again. Coyote into Cunha, back into Coyote, the little 1-2. What are they doing? They're allowing so much space, and it's a 2-0 lead in the 85th minute, and unless a miracle happens, we're going to secure a second Champions League within a 5-year span. Cunha, Mazraoui, back into Güler, the former Madrid man, and yeah, that one's going to sting for them. So that makes us Champions League winners in 2028, 2 times in 3 years. The Premier League, champions, finally, by 2 points, and it was right to the end of the wire. I mean, it was a very close season. Kolo Muani is going to be the real reason to why we've done this, I think, alongside of Coyote, top assister, Güler, second, Kolo Muani, third, Donnarumma's in there, Mount's in there. Really nice to see Mason Mount play a big part in that last season, because, of course, that completes the challenge. But any hardcore FMers, don't go anywhere, because we're going to look at exactly what these players done, who was the talismans, what worked, what didn't work, and overall, I think there's not going to be too much to break down, because this team has won me a treble, the treble. We've also managed to manage finances very well. 160 million in the budget for you guys that are going to carry this on. You've got a debt-free club, and you've got a realistic team mixed of young and current potential players who are already raring to go. Coyote has one of the best performances I've ever seen in one of the best Amarim tactics I have ever made. 10 and 33 from Coyote, Malacia 3 and 7, but if we actually look at the likes of Dorgu, 9 and 9, that makes a bit more sense. Mason Mount 6 and 10, Yagate 6 and 6, Umbromo 7 and 7, Ardagula 9 and 20, Kolo Muani 54 and 15, Sesko still gets game time, do not worry, 28 and 5, Cunha 3 and 3, still getting game time. We like to see that. Baleba. He was locked in for a couple of seasons and or a season, and I then put him into the realm of, you know, fighting, and he can't fight. I hope that's not going to be the case in real life. I think out of all the signings that we have made, that Manchester United will 100% make, I'm very confident in saying, and Bromo has come out and he has been a player. He has been consistent. Never putting up ridiculous amounts of goals in the Prem, but chipping into a very high level. Sesko has been Benjamin Sesko, man. I mean, he has been bagging goals upon goals upon goals. He was a great signing. We look at the likes of Dorgu, obviously he was a player already here. I trusted him, and every season he was locked in, every season he was good. He can't really fight the competition, so again, I'm very mixed whether I like to lock in players all the time, because then it's unfair on the other players, you know what I mean? So the likes of Baleba got that chance to shine, he grew, then he just couldn't compete. Yagate had a great season coming back into the team. Mason Mount proved himself as a player. I mean, Amarim loves Mason Mount, doesn't he? So he will be given that chance to shine. And I think we look at these players right now and, yeah, it's nice to see that we've rebuilt Manchester United using realistic transfers with a realistic tactic, and we have won the treble. Finally, United back to a 5-star reputation. The trophies are flying back into the club. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you'd do differently. Again, I won't take offence. If you think I shouldn't have signed this guy, I will happily take that on the chin and move on. I will say again, the realism factor on this channel is 1, happened in real life. 2, it'll be a transfer link, whether that be a news article, loads of news articles, and 3, a player that would be considered in real life if they had that season, i.e. Gula, Coyote. They are 3 realistic topics, if you want to say, however you want to say it. But if you have enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. As always, go over to the Patreon, grab the save file, get involved as well over there. Your challenge, by the way, is to win the quadruple. Win the quadruple, £25 PayPal to the first person to send me the screenshot. But it has to be done using this tactic. No cheating. I'll see you in the next one.